Another election season, another shooting we pretend is an everyday occurrence rather than an outlier. Like cringy clockwork, it's time to play the video game blame game. What does it say about our society that our default position after any given tragedy is to blame semi-automatics or Super Mario? I mean, where would American political discourse be without inanimate objects to blame for our fucking failings? Some of which answer to the name Biden. Never mind the disparate ideological motives here, with the El Paso shooter citing everything from Filiberto's employees to the fucking Lorax for his shithead shooting spree, and the Dayton shooter an avowed right-wing Nazi skinhead. What's that? What? Far left. Son of a bitch! Better still, as I said all the way back in, I think, 2013, in my all guns blazing rant, there remain leftist gamers huffing Harry Reid farts in a fairy fuck bubble who fail to recognize the irony in begging the government to get grabby with our guns while using identical arguments that I am to defend Fortnite from federal fucking regulation. And before any fuckwits reply with, but guns were only made to kill people, fun fact, the overwhelming majority of ammunition in America and elsewhere is fired into fucking targets! Unless paper was emancipated while I was busy playing Dig Dug, you are a dipshit! The only way shooting paper is murder is if you're aiming at Keira Knightley's chest. Friendly reminder that the last time we had a major talk about censoring the Vidya in Congress, it came not from Trump, but from none other than Joe Biden. Meaning, between Biden's video game censorship panels in 2013 and Trump's retarded tangent this past week, it's time to officially accept it. Blaming Super Metroid for mass shootings ain't a Republican thing. It ain't a Democrat thing. It is a boomer thing. And if Social Security, ska music, and The View have taught us anything, it's that boomers were a fucking mistake. To our fellow Canadian compatriots who've seen more moose shootings than mass shootings up there in Kanakistan, think of it like blaming music for Justin Bieber. It's not the medium, it's the half-man wielding it. I don't blame comedy for Dane Cook, so cut it the fuck out with the inanimate object shaming. And how is it we knew both men's motives before the final shells hit the fucking floor, but 22 months later, if I want the Las Vegas shooter's motive, I need a fucking Ouija board? Trump's turned tard in the interim, offering up red flag laws, which many states already have, including the two the shootings took place in, as an unconstitutional compromise. Hey, fuckwit, did James Madison stutter? Shall not be infringed. And don't give me that well-regulated militia shit. We call that a subordinate clause, meaning an interjectory phrase that contributes to but does not alter the core meaning of the sentence in which it appears. Meaning you could excise the entire militia aside from the Second Amendment and not lose an ounce of its original import. Welcome to first year fucking English with Professor Fistenheim. More to the point, peep the Federalist Papers while you're at it. Effectively the Lord of the Rings extended cut of the U.S. Constitution. You want to know why those powdered wig-wearing motherfuckers did what they did? Wonder no fucking longer. They explain it themselves in black and white. But the first hint is fucking free. It wasn't for goddamn hunting. And given that they not only allowed citizens to possess and operate their own honest-to-God naval vessels with full rows of cannon in tow, but later enlisted them in future fucking armed conflicts, I'm going out on a limb the size of Tommy Lee's crank and saying nothing the Black Scary Rifle Corporation could produce in 2019 would give these cats a case of the vapors. I mean, have you looked up a cannonball injury? Let me ask you something. Can an AR-15 liquefy a sternum at 40 fucking paces? Can it perform a legectomy from across a butt-fucking battlefield? Can it blow a human skull into sopping wet watermelon chunks? Cannons can, and they let us have those. So much for your musket myth. Don't like it? Think it's anachronistic? So Stonehenge. There's lots of countries that hate firearms, preferring instead the odd truck of peace massacre. Neat! You can go live in them, because the United States didn't merely allow, but was largely formed by pivotal advancements in musketry at the turn of the century in which they were formed. I mean, the Second Amendment isn't optional. It's not something you just slap the reset button on. It's a core value that informed the very founding of this republic, and indeed allowed it to exist at all, which is why it's one of the few amendments that isn't fucking vaguely worded. And as for video games, here's a thought. Maybe if we stopped appointing Dr. Mario, the motherfucking nanny of the world, rather than amusing diversion, you wouldn't leave the door open to even blaming the Nintendo Corporation for your bouncing baby bomb makers. Sure, media can influence your kid. Treat yourself to a 2015 high school yearbook if you don't believe me. Note the sea of haggard hipster beards and rubbing thick ponsador haircuts. Better yet, walk out fucking side. They sadly still exist. Anyone who's with your child for any length of time can become an influence. But you know who's with them a fucking lot more? You! If you've been training your tweens to kick babies and shoot up abortionariums from a young age, they'd be making papier-mâché IEDs before they finish their first fucking SpongeBob marathon. Similarly, maybe if you didn't let ideologically informed public schools parent your kids, warning them of the perils of the evil sentient death rifles, they might not anthropomorphize them so much, and who knows, perhaps they wouldn't see them as a social problem solver when your utterly shit parenting makes them the most picked-on prick in the public fucking school system. So parents, on both coasts, I say do the opposite. Buy a gun, show them how to shoot, and more importantly, show them to respect the act of shooting. To do so competently, and to do so safely. Shrieking shitlibs love going on and on about the false sense of power a firearm confers upon its owner, but anyone who actually owns one knows that's uncut black tar bullshit. Only one word roared through my cranium the first time I grasped a gun and prepared to pull the trigger. It wasn't power, it wasn't revenge, and it certainly wasn't, now I can be a Hitler. It was responsibility. I matured more in that moment and learned more about the world, society, and my obligation to both by pulling a trigger than I could have in 20 guns or goddamn evil lectures in my high school socialism studies class. It disabused me of misconceptions I may have harbored about firearm ownership and demystified both the act and the object with one pull of the trigger. And I want you to hear this and truly absorb it. What you demystify, you disarm. What you demonize, you attract the impressionable to. I'm Razor Fist. God fucking speed.